We all carry something, an unspoken weight, a name someone called us, a betrayal we didn't deserve, a failure we never saw coming. The past has a way of gripping us, branding our hearts with pain that was never meant to stay. And yet we hold it tightly, quietly, replaying it like a broken record, as if suffering enough times will somehow set us free. But here's the truth. You were never meant to carry that pain forever. Holding on doesn't heal you, it haunts you. The longer you grip what wounded you, the deeper it infects your future. And one day, you realize you're not living anymore, you're just managing your memories. Letting go isn't weakness, it's warrior strength. It's looking pain in the face and saying, "You've had enough of my time. You don't get another day." It's not pretending it didn't hurt. It's choosing that it won't define you anymore. And this is where your freedom begins, when you stop identifying with your wounds and start identifying with your resilience. You were not born to live in reverse. You were not created to stay stuck in what was. You were designed to heal, to rise, to let go. Letting go is not forgetting. It's not denying what happened. Letting go is choosing your peace over your past, choosing your purpose over your pain. Because as long as your hands are clinging to what broke you, they cannot receive what is meant to build you. Today, the healing begins not in doing something dramatic, but in one simple act, releasing what you were never meant to carry. Your past is a place of reference, not a residence. Let go, not because the past deserves it, but because you do. They say time heals all wounds, but that's a lie told to comfort the passive. Time alone doesn't heal, decisions do. Wounds left unattended don't fade. They fester, they deepen, they infect everything around them. Your mindset, your relationships, your future. What truly heals is your choice to let go, to stop rehearsing what hurt you and start rebuilding what's inside you. Healing is not a feeling, it's a decision to stop feeding the fire of anger. A decision to stop chasing closure from people who never had the capacity to give it. A decision to say, this pain ends with me. You can't wait until you feel ready to let go. You'll be waiting your whole life. Letting go happens in a moment of courage, not when the pain disappears, but when you decide to rise above it. And the truth is, letting go won't always feel good at first. Because when you've been attached to pain for so long, freedom feels unfamiliar. You've learned to find identity in heartbreak, in victimhood, in being the one who was wronged. But you are not your past. You are not what they did to you. You are not the mistake you made. When you let go, you reclaim your identity. You tell your soul, I am not broken, I am becoming. The Stoics taught this well. Marcus Aurelius said, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. That pain wasn't placed in your life to destroy you. It was the path to evolve you. So stop looking backward hoping to rewrite the story. Instead, turn forward and write a new one. Not because the past was fair, but because your future is waiting for someone bold enough to choose healing over hurt. This is your turning point. Not when it's easy, not when you're numb, but right now, when it still stings and you choose peace anyway. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. That is the Stoic lens. Seneca wrote, we suffer more in imagination than in reality because the mind rewounds itself long after the blow has landed. Your memories become weapons you turn on your own heart. But the Stoic learns to reframe pain, to harvest wisdom from wounds and fuel from failures. The question shifts from why did this happen to me to how can this serve me? Reframing isn't denial, it's dominion. It's the mental alchemy that turns every setback into strategy. Lost a relationship? Reframe. I discovered my worth and clarified my standards. Faced betrayal? Reframe. Now I know where loyalty truly lives. Failed publicly? Reframe. Exposure is education. The lesson is leverage. When you change the story, you change the sting. What once felt like chains becomes training weight for stronger character. Marcus Aurelius penned his meditations at night on battlefields, surrounded by enemies and plague. Yet he wrote of virtue, duty, calm. He refused to grant external chaos power over his internal kingdom. That is the art of letting go, choosing perception over circumstance. You cannot edit yesterday, but you can author the meaning you assign it. And meaning is everything. Meaning determines whether pain becomes a prison or a platform. So take inventory. Which memories still bleed? Which names still echo with accusation? Place them beneath the Stoic lens. Ask, what skill did this scar teach me? What boundary did this break reveal? What hidden strength surfaced when I had nothing left but will? Extract the lesson, honor the growth, then release the rest. Because clinging to pain without purpose is self-betrayal. But repurposing pain into power is self-mastery. Let go of the narrative that keeps you bitter. Write the version that makes you better. The past is fixed, but your interpretation is fluid. Seize it, shape it, turn every wound into wisdom, every regret into resolve, and every scar into a signature of survival. Reframing transforms letting go from loss into leverage, and leverage propels you into the future the wounded you could barely imagine. One of the greatest sources of suffering comes from trying to control what is not ours to command. The Stoics warned us, some things are up to us, and some things are not. That simple distinction, when truly understood, becomes the gateway to peace. Epictetus taught that the only real domain we possess is our own mind, our thoughts, responses, choices. Everything else, others' opinions, the past, outcomes, losses, is not in our hands. And the attempt to hold what is uncontrollable, that is the root of torment. We try to fix the past with regret. We replay conversations in hopes of rewriting them. We obsess over the actions of others, seeking closure, justice, or apology. But these are illusions. We are trying to grasp smoke. Letting go means no longer begging the past to change. It means choosing freedom over control, presence over pain. Think of the man who carries a stone in his backpack for years, angry at the person who threw it. The longer he carries it, the heavier it becomes, not because the stone grows, but because his spirit shrinks under the weight. That's what clinging to old wounds does to us. The Stoics would ask, is this stone yours to carry? If not, drop it. Letting go isn't weakness. It's strength in its most mature form. It's refusing to be enslaved by what no longer serves your becoming. It's an act of deep mental discipline, to detach from what is outside your control and invest fully in what is. You can't command how others act, but you can command how you heal. You can't undo betrayal, but you can rise above its reach. When you realize that peace comes not from fixing the world, but from releasing your grip on it, your whole life changes. You stop wrestling ghosts. You stop begging memories to treat you better. You start walking forward, unburdened, unclenched, untied. So ask yourself, what am I still trying to control that is not mine? Is it someone's forgiveness, their validation? Is it the outcome of a past failure, or a future that won't obey your timing? Whatever it is, recognize it. Thank it for the lesson, then let it go. Because the man who releases what he cannot control becomes unstoppable in what he can. You cannot heal what you keep resisting. The truth is, most of us don't suffer from the pain itself. We suffer from the resistance to that pain. We replay what happened, not because we enjoy it, but because part of us refuses to believe it should have happened. We cling to the unfairness, the betrayal, the why me, as if arguing with reality will bend time and erase what has already been written. But the Stoics remind us, don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish for them to happen as they do, and your life will go smoothly. Acceptance is not approval. It's not saying, this was good. It's saying, this is what happened, and I will no longer fight it. Acceptance is the door you must walk through before healing can meet you on the other side. When you stop resisting your pain, when you stop pretending it didn't happen or trying to fix what's already broken, you begin to transform it. You no longer live in denial. You begin to live in truth. And in truth, you can breathe again. Picture this: a clenched fist cannot receive. It is full, tight, closed. That's what resistance looks like. But when you open your hand, when you surrender the need to control, the demand for justice, the fantasy of how it should have gone, you create space. And into that space flows peace, perspective, growth, God. Acceptance is the first act of power after pain. It says, I will not be defined by this. I will not let this moment dictate my worth, my future, or my inner peace. It's choosing to stand with your pain, not under it. To walk forward with the scar, not trapped inside the wound. So ask yourself, what have I refused to accept that's keeping me stuck? What moment am I replaying that's already over? What part of me is still arguing with something that cannot be undone? The moment you let go of that argument, the healing begins. And as you accept what you cannot change, you step into the power of what you can. Your growth, your response, your future. That is the beginning of your freedom. Letting go is impossible without forgiveness. But forgiveness is not a feeling, it is a decision. A decision to no longer tie your worth, your future, or your energy to what someone did to you. It is a declaration of independence, not for them, for you. Forgiveness is not about saying, it didn't hurt. It's saying, it hurt, but I won't carry it anymore. It's refusing to let their offense live rent-free in your mind. It's choosing peace over poison. Because holding on to bitterness is like drinking the poison and hoping the other person dies. The only soul it kills is your own. The Stoics would remind us, another person's wrong action does not have the power to injure your soul unless you allow it. Or think about that. The only thing that can touch your spirit is what you give permission to enter. Forgiveness is the shield that blocks the toxic arrow from reaching your heart. You're not excusing the offense. You're releasing the control it has over your life. You're saying, this doesn't get to keep me in chains. You forgive, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve freedom. Forgiveness is not the end of the journey. It's the beginning of real transformation. It creates space in your soul where rage used to live. It allows you to finally move forward unshackled, and most importantly, it restores your power. So ask yourself, who am I still holding in the courtroom of my mind? Whose actions am I still punishing myself for? What resentment have I used as fuel that's actually burning me up? Let today be the day you say, no more. Not because they said sorry, not because it makes sense, but because you are ready to reclaim your soul. The art of letting go always begins with this sacred act. I release you, so I can finally be free. One of the greatest traps of emotional pain is the false belief that we need closure to heal. That if the other person apologizes, explains, or makes amends, then we'll finally be free. But the truth is, waiting for closure is like waiting for someone else to give you permission to heal. It gives your power away. Sometimes the person who hurt you won't say sorry. Sometimes they've moved on while you're still sitting in the ruins they left behind. Sometimes they won't even understand what they did, and that's okay. Because you don't need their closure, you need your own decision to close that chapter. Stoic wisdom teaches us this: the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. If their silence, absence, or denial stands in the way of your healing, then let it be the very thing that pushes you to take control of your own peace. You don't need them to validate your pain for it to be real. You don't need their explanation to find understanding. You don't need their apology to forgive. The closure you're looking for is found in a moment of clarity. I will no longer let this define my life. Imagine trying to walk forward while constantly looking back. You'd trip, you'd fall, you'd never reach what's ahead because your focus is stuck on what's behind. Waiting for closure does the same thing. It anchors your soul to a moment that's already passed. But when you let go of that need, something incredible happens. You start walking with your eyes on the future, not the past. Closure isn't something they give you, it's something you give yourself. You don't need a reason, a conversation, or their permission. You only need one decision. This is where the pain ends, and my healing begins. A common fear about letting go is that it means forgetting, that if you release what happened, you're somehow letting them off the hook, or worse, erasing a part of your identity. But letting go isn't forgetting, it's remembering differently. It's saying, this happened, yes, but it no longer controls me. It's transforming the memory from a source of suffering into a source of strength. The Stoics would call this turning fate to your advantage. The pain happened, or the betrayal happened, but now becomes part of your wisdom, not your wound. Letting go means reclaiming the story. Instead of repeating the narrative of what was done to you, you begin to narrate how you rose, how you changed, how you discovered a deeper strength because of it. This is how you turn scars into armor. You're not pretending it didn't matter. You're choosing what part of the experience you want to carry forward. You don't need to forget the past. You need to stop reliving it in the same destructive loop. You need to stop giving it the same emotional weight it once held. Every memory is a choice. Does this define me as a victim or as a warrior? Does it break me or build me? Letting go is about flipping that switch, not erasing the past, but reinterpreting it through the lens of wisdom, resilience, and peace. So no, you don't forget. You remember with clarity instead of chaos. You remember with power instead of pain. You remember not as someone who was broken, but as someone who broke through. That's the art, that's the shift. That's how your past becomes your testimony instead of your prison. Imagine trying to run a race while carrying a backpack full of rocks. That's what emotional baggage does to your journey. Every grudge, every regret, every unspoken pain adds invisible weight to your soul, and yet many carry it daily, wondering why they feel stuck, tired, defeated. The answer isn't in doing more, it's in carrying less. Letting go is about survival, about thriving, about reclaiming space in your heart for what actually matters. You cannot move forward while dragging everything that ever hurt you behind. You must decide what's essential to keep and what must be laid down. Ask yourself this: what am I still holding that's already over? A relationship that ended years ago, words spoken that no longer matter, expectations that shattered, the mistake you made, the apology you never received. If it's not building you, it's burying you. The Stoics taught us to live lightly, not because life is light, but because the soul becomes strong when it's not overloaded by unnecessary suffering. They believe that true peace comes not from controlling everything around you, but from releasing the internal chaos within. Letting go is a daily practice. It's waking up and choosing peace over bitterness. It's noticing the thoughts that pull you backward and refusing to entertain them. It's understanding that your destiny cannot fully bloom while your hands are still clenched around what's dying. You don't need more time, you need less weight. The lighter your heart becomes, the further you'll go. Let go, not because you're weak, but because you're finally strong enough to stop dragging what no longer serves your purpose. One of the most damaging questions you can ask after being hurt is, why me? It leads you down a path of blame, self-pity, and confusion. It makes you a victim of your pain instead of the architect of your future. But when you shift the question from why me to what now, everything changes. What now doesn't ignore the pain, it redirects it. It's a question that says, okay, this happened, it hurt, but I'm still here. So what do I do with this pain? That's the question that creates growth. That's the question that builds warriors. The Stoics believed in radical ownership, not of the external, but of the internal. You don't get to choose what life throws at you, but you absolutely choose how you respond. The difference between being destroyed and being refined is in the question you ask next. Why me? Keeps you in the storm. What now? Helps you rise from it. You're not here to be defined by your wounds. You're here to turn them into wisdom. Every betrayal, every loss, every broken dream, it's not the end. It's the beginning of your transformation. When you say, what now? You stop waiting for life to fix itself and start becoming the solution yourself. Letting go is about pivoting, not quitting. It's about saying, I didn't choose the pain, but I will choose my healing. It's about rising from the ashes of disappointment and building something stronger with what's left. So stop waiting for justice, for answers, for apologies. Start creating meaning. Start creating momentum. Don't let the pain close your story. Let it reveal the next chapter. One built on clarity, courage, and a relentless commitment to move forward. Letting go isn't just about releasing the past. It's about making room for the future. And yet, how many people sabotage today's blessings because they're still bleeding from yesterday's wounds? You can't step into joy while still living in the shadow of your past pain. Some wounds aren't visible. They hide behind smiles, behind silence, behind the phrase, I'm fine. But deep down, you know they're there. They shape how you trust. They influence how you love. They taint how you see opportunities. Until you confront them, they control you. Here's the truth. You cannot heal what you refuse to feel. Stoic wisdom doesn't teach us to suppress emotions. It teaches us to face them, examine them, and then let them go. The Stoics believed in emotional discipline, not denial. You don't ignore your pain, you understand it so it no longer holds power over you. Ask yourself, am I still punishing myself for something that's already over? Am I withholding love, success, or peace because I'm afraid to be hurt again? If so, you're letting old pain define your current life. And that's not fair to the future that's waiting to embrace you. You deserve to feel joy again, not fake joy, but real, grounded peace. And that begins by acknowledging what hurt you, grieving it if necessary, and then choosing not to carry it anymore. That person who betrayed you, they don't deserve space in your present. That moment of failure, it's not who you are, it's something you experienced. Let it stay where it belongs, in the past. Every day you get a choice, to live from your wounds or to live from your wisdom. Choose the path that liberates you. Choose the future. Choose the joy. One of the most misunderstood truths about letting go is forgiveness. Many think forgiveness is saying, what you did was okay. But real forgiveness doesn't excuse, it releases. It says, I refuse to let your actions poison my soul any longer. Forgiveness is not weakness. It's not about forgetting, and it's not about reconciling with someone who harmed you. It's about freedom. It's the act of saying, I will no longer carry your offense in my heart. That's strength, that's healing, that's power. The Stoics taught that resentment is a form of self-inflicted suffering. Marcus Aurelius wrote, when you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive. But how can you feel that privilege if your heart is chained to grudges? When you don't forgive, you stay connected to the offense and the offender. Letting go through forgiveness isn't just a gift to them, it's a gift to you. It clears the clutter in your spirit. It makes room for peace. It allows your mind to focus on what's ahead, not what's behind. And the person who benefits most from that freedom is you. But forgiveness is also a process. It may take time, it may need to be repeated, it may hurt. But every step you take toward it is a step toward reclaiming your power. You're not forgiving because they deserve it. You're forgiving because you do. Don't let the pain others cause continue to define your story. Rewrite the ending, forgive, let go, and move forward, not for them, but for your own soul to finally breathe again. Too many people walk around wearing their wounds like name tags. Abandoned, rejected, not good enough. But hear this, you are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to become despite it. What broke you doesn't define you. What defines you is how you rebuilt. Letting go means separating your identity from your experience. Yes, they hurt you. Yes, it was unfair. Yes, it changed you, but it didn't destroy you. In fact, the fact that you're still here, still breathing, still growing, is proof that your story isn't over. You're not the betrayal. You're the strength it took to survive it. You're not the heartbreak. You're the love you still carry. You're not the failure. You're the courage to keep trying. Stoicism teaches us to respond rather than react. It reminds us that our true power lies in our perception. You may not control what happened, but you do control what it means moving forward. And the meaning you assign determines the direction you go. This is the turning point. This is the moment where you stop being a victim and step into your power as a creator of your own destiny. You've carried pain long enough. It shaped you, yes, but it doesn't own you. Today you declare, I am not what hurt me. I am not my trauma. I am not my past. I am the person who rose from it. That's where your new story begins. Healing requires more than inner work. It often demands outer change. You cannot expect to grow while staying in the very place, around the very people, and in the same mindset that wounded you. Sometimes letting go means walking away. Environment matters. If your surroundings are constantly reminding you of your pain, how can you move forward? If the conversations you hear keep dragging you back into bitterness, how can your heart find peace? The Stoics often withdrew into silence and solitude, not to escape, but to reset. They understood that wisdom grows in quiet, clarity comes from distance, and healing flows best when we step away from the noise. This doesn't mean you avoid every challenge. It means you stop planting your soul in toxic soil. If someone constantly disrespects your boundaries, letting go might mean setting firmer ones, or removing yourself entirely. If your habits keep feeding your regrets, you may need to destroy the cycle to break free. Growth is uncomfortable. Letting go often feels like loss. But peace is never built in chaos, and clarity never rises in confusion. Protect your space, guard your peace. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to leave the place that's keeping you broken. Letting go isn't always gentle. Sometimes it's fierce, sometimes it's loud, sometimes it looks like finally saying, this is no longer for me. People think letting go means the story is over, but in truth, letting go is the start of the real story. It's not a sign of weakness or giving up, it's the doorway to a future that finally belongs to you. When you release the past, you create space for miracles. The Stoic way isn't about erasing emotion. It's about rising above emotion to reclaim clarity and control. Epictetus taught that suffering stems not from the event, but from our attachment to how we think it should have been. Once you accept what was, you can choose what will be. This is your invitation to step forward unburdened, to walk lighter, to smile again, not because everything's perfect, but because you're free. Letting go is how you end the war with yourself. It's how you stop fighting memories and start building dreams. It's how you stop being defined by your damage and start being defined by your destiny. You won't forget what you've been through, but you will rise from it. So today, close the chapter. Not in bitterness, but in boldness. Not because the pain didn't matter, but because you matter more. Your future is not behind you. It's not in what hurt you. It's not in who failed you. It's in the next breath you take, the next step you walk, the next decision you make to live, fully, freely, and finally at peace. Let go, and let what's waiting finally find you.